Picture opening your phone on an ordinary morning and seeing the names of two BTS members sitting at the very top of the world's trending topics. Not because of a new album, not a record, not an award, because of a photo. One single photo taken backstage at a concert that in just a few hours split the ARMY apart like almost nothing has in years. And here's the wild part. To understand why that image caused so much chaos, you have to know exactly who was standing next to them in it. Because it wasn't just any artist, it was Chris Brown. If you've ever felt your stomach drop when someone you look up to does something you didn't see coming, stay with me until the very end, because this story has layers almost nobody is telling in full. And before you keep scrolling, let this video keep playing, because what happened after that photo is even more revealing than the photo itself. Let's rewind. We're talking about a concert in Toronto, Canada, part of an R&B tour that brought two giants of American music onto the same stage, Usher and Chris Brown. A huge show, packed with fans, lights, nostalgia, the kind of night any music lover would dream of. And that's exactly what it was. RM and J-Hope, two of the 7 members of BTS, were right there in the crowd, enjoying the music like anyone else would. Nothing strange so far. Artists go to other artists' shows all the time, but it was what came next that changed everything. Because RM and J-Hope didn't just stay in the audience, they showed up dancing. Footage shows the two of them moving to Look at Me Now, one of Chris Brown's most famous songs. And it went further than that. They went backstage, they posed, they smiled, they took a picture standing shoulder to shoulder with Chris Brown himself. And the moment that image hit social media, the mood flipped from celebration to tension in a matter of minutes. And here's the piece you need to understand for this whole story to make sense. Chris Brown is not a neutral name. For more than a decade, he has carried one of the heaviest reputations in the music industry. Back in 2009, he violently assaulted the singer Rihanna, his girlfriend at the time, in a case that shocked the entire world and is still remembered as one of the most serious incidents of violence involving a major artist. And it didn't stop there. Over the years, his name resurfaced, tied to accusations and legal battles. For a lot of people, he became a symbol of something society is fighting hard to leave behind. Now put the pieces together. Two members of a group known around the world for messages of self-love, respect, love yourself, smiling next to a man with that past. Can you see why the internet exploded? And if you're already feeling that pull to understand both sides of this, do me a favor, drop a like right now and subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to walk you through every layer of this, including the part almost nobody has had the courage to discuss calmly. In those first few hours, a big part of the ARMY reacted with disappointment. And not just any disappointment. Many fans felt there was a contradiction that was hard to swallow. After all, RM himself has always been seen as a thoughtful figure, someone tied to books, to conversations about equality, someone fans across the world pointed to as an example of sensitivity. Seeing him, of all people, standing beside Chris Brown felt like watching two images collide that seemed impossible to exist at the same time. The international press picked up on it fast. Outlets in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Asia covered the story, many of them using that exact word, contradiction. But this is where it gets more complicated than the angry headlines make it seem. Because the ARMY didn't react as one voice, it split. And that split says a lot about where this fandom stands right now. On one side were the fans who felt betrayed. To them, going to a show is one thing. Going backstage, posing with a smile, dancing to the song, turning it into a public moment of closeness is something else entirely. For this group, it wasn't just enjoying some music. It was, even without meaning to, giving visibility and a kind of stamp of approval to someone many survivors of violence would rather not see celebrated. And when you remember that a huge part of the ARMY is made up of young women, many of them deeply sensitive to exactly this kind of issue, you start to understand why the wound cut so deep. On the other side were fans asking everyone to slow down, arguing that liking an artist's music doesn't mean approving everything he's done in his personal life, that separating the art from the person is something humanity does all the time, with writers, actors, musicians, that RM and J-Hope are grown men, free to go wherever they want and listen to whatever they want, and that turning a fun night out into a moral verdict would be going too far. For this group, the outrage said more about the impossible expectations we place on idols than about any real mistake the two of them made. And this is exactly the moment I want to ask you something. Because your voice truly matters here, do you think an artist carries responsibility for the message they send when they stand next to another controversial artist? Or do they have the right to simply live like anyone else? Tell me in the comments what you honestly think. No fear, because I want to read every single reply and understand where most of the army really stands. As the debate grew, one extra detail poured more fuel on the fire. According to some outlets, RM and J-Hope might not be the only BTS members to have shown appreciation for Chris Brown's music. Reports mention that other members had also seemed to enjoy his songs at earlier moments. Let me be clear here, this came from press coverage, not from any official statement by the group, so I'm treating it as context, not as a fact confirmed by them. But even so, that detail made a lot of people realize this might not have been one isolated slip on a single night, but a musical taste that already existed and only became visible now. And here comes a reflection few people are making. Why did this photo hurt so much? Because the bond between BTS and ARMY was never that of a fan and a distant celebrity. It was built on the idea that these 7 young men understood the pain of their audience, that they spoke about mental health, about pressure, about respect. The ARMY didn't fall in love only with the music. It fell in love with a message. So when something appears that seems to clash with that message, it's not just a photo on the line. It's the feeling that an emotional promise might have been, even slightly scratched. And that's why the reaction was so intense. It doesn't come from hate, it comes from disappointed love. And when those two things mix, they create exactly the kind of storm that took over social media. The most fascinating part is that so far, the real weight of this story doesn't sit in a statement, an apology, or some big official consequence. It sits in the silence and in the interpretation. It sits in the fact that millions of people looked at the same image and saw completely different things. Some saw a mistake, others saw freedom, some saw contradiction, others saw something totally normal. And maybe that's the most revealing thing of all. A single photo managed to turn into a mirror, and every fan looking at it ended up seeing what they already felt about what they expect from the people they admire. And this is where the story stops being about RM, about J-Hope, or about Chris Brown, and starts being about us, about what we project onto the people we look up to, about how much we allow them to be human, flawed, contradictory, just like any of us. The ARMY has always been known as one of the most passionate and protective fandoms in the world, and maybe this controversy isn't the end of anything, but the beginning of a more mature conversation about what it means to love an artist without turning them into a perfect, impossible idol. If this story made you think, even if you still don't know which side you're on, do this channel a favor, leave your like. Share this video with that one ARMY who needs to see it, subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdowns, and write one single sentence in the comments. Would you forgive? Would you understand? Or would you feel let down? Because in the end, maybe the most important question isn't what RM and J-Hope did that night, but what that night revealed about what we truly expect from the people we've chosen to love.